All right, all right, all right. I think I am streaming now. All right, folks. Nice to see y'all. Actually, I don't think I'm going to need these today. Let's go without that. Okay, let's get rid of that screen altogether. All right. And let's see what's going on in the chat. Good morning, everybody. Long time no see. I'm trying a little different encoding software here, so there seems to be a little bit of a lag between what I'm seeing and what's going on. So let me know if everything's loud and clear. Who do we have in the room? We got Sean Hawkins. Hey, what's up? Let's see. Let's move that out the way. So let's scroll back through here. Sean Hawkins, Michael, Jazuski, Demon Orb, Renaud, Nick B, what's up? Hey, bro. Mac HD, yo, what's up? J Ben Kiddu, good morning, good morning. Facthard, all right, all right. Wallace Olmstead, Michael, just okay. Cool. Nice to see everybody. It's been a while. Yeah. Oh, I just woke up myself. Cool. Image is loud and clear. Cool, cool. Let's see. I don't know if there are any mods in the room coming in. I do have a Discord. I haven't been on it in forever, so I know you guys have been like probably wondering what the hell happened to me. But hold on a second. Bert the Avenger. Jason, hey, what's up? Good morning. So I don't really have an agenda this morning. I'm actually, I just finished writing up a review of Behind the Curve, the little documentary on our Flat Earth friends. I will be recording that one and putting that up probably tomorrow. Interesting film. So I actually haven't. I know that Godless Engineer, I think, and Snyman Dan put out videos on it. I haven't watched them yet, mainly because I knew I was going to want to review it myself, and so I didn't want to watch anybody else's reviews until I saw it and reviewed it and gave my own opinion. I didn't want to be tainted by other people's opinion. So once I've recorded it, then I'll go back and see what other people had to say about it and see where we jibe and all that kind of thing. I didn't buy the documentary. I just wait for it to get on Netflix, and then I had one viewing of it, and then I did when I was doing other things, I did a screen capture of it just so I could get segments here and there, little snippets, and then I just wrote the review and occasionally looked at it just to see if I remember things correctly. But I didn't want to do like a full forensic analysis on it. Just more of a basic review. Jimmy Callahan, you do have a wrench. I think Callahan, I believe last time you were on, last time I was on, you showed some maturity and you contributed to the conversation well, and I wanted to give you a little something there. I don't know what Sean, I don't know what the exact copyright limitations are on reviewing it. I'm going to be doing it very much in a standard reviewing fashion. I'm not going to be doing it in the way I would normally do, say, another person's YouTube video, when, like showing large portions by themselves and then coming back and deconstructing it. It'll be mostly snippets shown picture in picture with my voice going along with it, to make sure that my content is throughout, as opposed to having a lot of individual sections that are just the documentary. There will be no time that it's just the documentary on screen and just the documentary sound, just to make sure that that's not a problem. So let's see. So that's one way I'm trying to not get. I'm not trying to move around the copyright limitations. I'm trying to make sure that I'm. You actually don't have a wrench. That's funny. I thought I gave you one, but I'm not trying to get around the copyright rules on it. But more like I'm trying to make sure that I am fully exercising the fair use by properly making it my own content. Let's see. Logical troglodyte. Good morning, fellow primates. Yeah, that's what we are. So that's one thing I'm practicing with this. And you probably noticed I got this little thing here and got this little thing here. I also have, I'm using the OBS software that a lot of people use. So I'm working on some picture-in-picture stuff in order to be able to really have it be separate content. Like have this be. Whoops, wrong way. There. To have the picture-in-picture be on screen and me at the same time. So even when I'm doing other people's YouTube videos, it will be more, half the screen will be my content. Things like that. And so that will, abate any chances of there being, copyright issues. So things like that. So I'm still putting all this kind of stuff together. I'll be seeing how well it comes together when I do the behind the curve review. So let me go back to normal. Let's see. Let's see. Wallace Homestead. Yeah, better safe than sorry. Paul, I hinted at a flight about 2 months ago. I guess that was it. Way more than you expected. Yeah, I did hint at a flight a while back, and so, but I didn't want to. I think I mentioned this before. I didn't want to say exactly what I was doing because I didn't. Honestly, I don't trust the opposition in this case. With the doxing that's going on, with all the issues that are coming up with globe deniers running out of tools in their toolbox. I didn't trust that if I announced where I was going, when I was going, what flight I was using, that somebody wouldn't just like call TSA and say there was a problem just to screw things up. So I didn't want to announce things. Let's see. I don't know what that was, Sean. So I see that something was hidden there. No worry. Let's see. So how long did it take to recover from my circumnavigation? Well, let's see. The hardest leg was the I think once I got to Johannesburg, the overnight, because I did. Here's the thing: is I got to Johannesburg, and I had basically 16 hours until my next flight, and I was in Africa. I didn't want to sleep through my time in Africa, and I went out, got some good food. I stayed up really late trying to get some celestial photography in. A lot of light pollution going on though, and then got up early to get a nice sunrise. So I got very little sleep when I was in Johannesburg, and then after that it was the next 2 days were almost entirely flights, with maybe 6 hours. I think I had the opportunity of 6 hours sleep between the next 2 days. That wasn't. I could sleep when I was on the flight, but flight sleep sucks. So the next 2 days was just bam. It was just flight. 4 flights in 2 days, like a 10-hour flight, and then like a 6 and a 4 and another 6. with very little time. And I don't know what it is, but South America, it seemed all of South America was on CP time. Everything was delayed. And so uh, there was a lot of times where if I knew this thing was going to be an hour and a half later, I would have slept in longer, but I didn't have that opportunity. So I got very little sleep those last 2 days. And then when I got home, my mother-in-law, who was living with us, and we were taking care of her, and specifically doing intensive care of her for the last 4 years, was essentially on her deathbed. Just when she went to the hospital. She had gone to the hospital, a month or two before I left, and she had just gotten out of the hospital a few weeks before I left, and then she was back in that Wednesday, and so the next 3 days were basically just her on her deathbed. So we brought her home from the hospital the Friday after I got back, the very next day, and basically decided she wasn't going to go back to the hospital. This was the time. So Thursday night when I got back, it was hospital time. Go see her, see how she's doing. Very little sleep. Next day, bring her home. Then the next 2 nights were just savage, torturous. A person not feeling well, and they're at the end of their life. So the next 2 days there was no sleep, and then she died on the Sunday. So it wasn't until the following, it wasn't for like another 4 or 5 days that I was able to actually start thinking about sleeping. And so I immediately got sick. Just the whole family just got sick. So it took a long time for me to get over all of that. It was a bear. Emotionally, I was fine, but just physically, it was just drained. It's like every cell of my body was tired. And I would have recovered fine, I think, if I had had the opportunity to get a better routine together, get out, get some sun. It wasn't until I was able to get out during the day and sit in the sun for a while and get my body acclimated. It was I didn't get back. It wasn't so much jet lag. It's just general body draining. But so I didn't really get to bask in the completion of the event. But it's time now. We've made arrangements for funeral and all that kind of thing. So it's time to start getting back to normal. And so here I am today. I can see some of you are chiming in, giving kind words. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to scroll back through and see if I can catch up on some of these. Sean Hawkins working on cleaning up his language. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to scroll back through. Hey, I see Young Blue's in. Nice to see a Young Blue. All right, let's see. I'm scrolling back up. So Hakan asks what's going on with the Around the Globe work. So I'm still in the sifting through the footage process, and I also have supplemental things that I want to get here. I got footage, and I did certain data collecting when I was out and about, and I have certain things that I want to collect here as comparison. A couple things because, and this is the difficulty when you do something like this. Weather conditions weren't great for the type of observations I wanted to do when I was in some of the locations I was at. And so I want to try to find similar spots here in order to make up for the fact that I wasn't able to get certain readings when I was there. And of course it's winter, in the Bay Area, so it's just rain. It's been rain and overcast and just muggy, and then light for a day or two, and I can try to get out. But it's one of those things where now the perils of trying to do this type of thing. So I still have some extra footage that I'm trying to get to supplement things. And so honestly, when I put coming soon on that, that was a lie. It's coming as quickly as I can, but it's not going to be soon, because I want to do it right. I have an idea. I have a format that I want to do it in. I don't want to just knock it out, and I want to make sure it's complete. There are 5 or 6, no, more like 6 or 7 definite globe denier points that I want to address, and I want to set them up, and I want to knock them down properly. And it's not that I try not to go into it with the idea these are things I'm going to definitely knock down. There were a couple things, but while I was there and while things were going on, observations were made. I'm like, oh, I can talk about that now, which is great, because having those things happen kind of got me away from the pre-planning. Oh, these are the things that I'm going to debunk. These are things that just happened, and observations I saw that just happened to debunk things, and that was great. It was a great natural process of discovery. Let's see. Peter Davy, you are a man created in the image of a powerful God. Okay, if that works for you. Thank you for putting the Discord server in there, Young Blue. I am on the mods page over there. If any of my mods want to talk to me over there on the side. I don't have notifications going on, so I have to kind of scan every so often. Let's see. And as to Peter Davy, who obviously you believe in God and all that kind of thing, and that's all great. I do want to talk about it just made me think of it. When I was on this trip, met a lot of different people, hooked up with a bunch of different people, had small conversations here and there. Oh, let me turn this down. I am technically on call this weekend. I don't really expect to hear anything until around 10 o'clock my time. That's an hour and a half from now. So I definitely have a hard limit of 10 o'clock, but there's always a chance something might pop up before then, and I'll have to go to work, just for honesty. But one conversation I did have was brief, and this goes to the idea that a lot of flat earthers who are flat earthers, well, globe deniers for the sake of the religion, they attack people like myself for our lack of religious views, and somehow they think that being a supporter of the globe reality somehow makes you against the existence of a creator. Now, the two of them, I happen to not believe in a creator, and I happen to support the globe reality, but they're not connected to each other. There's no thread there. But I did have a brief conversation with someone when I was down in Australia. We were just kind of chilling, and the person said, hey, you're a non-believer, right? You consider yourself an atheist? And I was like, yeah. And they said, well, I happen to be, there's a little nervousness in it. It seems I happen to be, a believer, not so much religious, but spiritual. I do believe, in a creator of sorts. And I said, okay, I have a question for you. And they're like, what? And I said, is it working for you? And they said, yeah, it is. I'm like, good for you. That's what matters. I have never told someone that they should not believe in a creator if it's working for them. A lot of people, it doesn't work for them. It gets them all mixed up and makes them go against their fellow man and things like that. But if it's working for you, and I said this to them, if what you believe is making you helping you be a positive contribution to society, good for you. I'm not going to tell you not to believe it. It's not my place. I have never told someone they shouldn't be believing in a God. If their belief in a God tells them that they have to start making me do something, or making me believe something, then we have an issue. But I don't have a problem with it. Do your thing. If it works for you, that's okay. And we're cool. That was it. That was the end of the conversation. We're both people who support the globe reality, but we had two different views on a god or spirituality or whatever. But they're not connected to the issue of a globe. It's just not. And when people like Peter Davey there seem to think that there is some type of connection between that type of thing, it's false. So I just wanted to mention that, because these kind of conversations do happen amongst people who actually agree with the proven science. Let's see. Let me scroll through here. Yes, on behalf of 99% of other theists, it's a club. Thank you, Dan. I'm not sure. I'm Al Lupe. He asks, am I planning on a video about gas pressure without a container? Well, one, I already actually have a video where I talk about how atmospheric pressure works. It's a white hot topic for flat earthers right now. I might talk about it. I'm starting to put together my comment thread science series, and I might make it one of those as opposed to a standard Greater Sapien one. Here's the thing that I have an issue with all the gas pressure talk people. And I want to ask them if any of them ever come and talk to me about it. Have you ever noticed, I'm sure you have, that they always talk about the Earth being surrounded by gas pressure? And that's what the globe deniers always say. I can honestly say that I have never read any scientific journal or passage that's of any legitimate resource, or heard any scientists say that the Earth is surrounded by gas pressure. We talk about atmospheric pressure, and I think there's a reason why globe deniers always talk about gas pressure. They never talk about atmospheric pressure, because gas pressure, if you look up the definition of gas pressure, it always talks about a container. If you look up atmospheric pressure, it never talks about a container. Now, the atmosphere is made up of gases, so they say, well, it's atmospheric pressure is the pressure of these gases, thus we're going to talk about gas pressure. But gas pressure is more of an engineering type of, it's about structures, it's about man-made things. Atmospheric pressure is about natural pressure. They always focus on gas pressure because in it mentions a container. They never talk about atmospheric pressure because it doesn't mention a container. So if someone comes to me and says, well, how can you have gas pressure without a container? How does the atmosphere work? I'm like, well, it's not about gas pressure. It's about atmospheric pressure. Let's talk about what it is. It's atmospheric pressure, not gas pressure. And so there's that basic disconnect, and that definition that they want to hold to because it works for them. They won't talk about atmospheric pressure because it doesn't work for them. They'll talk about gas pressure, which is about man-made things. But I've talked about, the problem with the whole gas pressure argument is their argument works against them when you talk about the Earth with a dome or whatever it is. There's still a pressure gradient that happens. Atmospheric pressure is about a pressure gradient. That's all it is. That pressure gradient exists. It exists in their dome system. They have to admit that it exists. They have no mechanism for that gradient to exist in their dome system. They say, well, we can have that because there's a structure, there's a container. It's like, no. The container just says you get to have pressure. It doesn't say you get to have a gradient, that you get to have different pressure in different areas. It should still reach an equilibrium, but it hasn't in your container. What mechanism is there in your container that allows you to have a gradient? They have nothing. And so they will not talk about it. Because if they talk about it, whatever mechanism exists or can exist for a flat Earth dome system to cause a gradient can exist for a globe and cause a gradient and allow there to be pressure next to a vacuum. It works against them. Secondly, there is no, their premise is false, as there is no gas pressure next to a vacuum in the globe model. There is no vacuum and gas pressure. It doesn't exist. That's not the globe model. It's like when you look at the gradient, you have to go, where's the vacuum? Point to the vacuum. Point to the vacuum. Where is it at? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? There's pressure and there's pressure. There's pressure everywhere. It's very low pressure, but it's pressure. So the premise is false. There is no gas pressure next to a vacuum. There's my video. No, also, yeah, I'll probably address it at some point. But it ends up being the same thing. But you can chop this, send this to him. I just saw something from Peter Davies saying it's not that it works for you, it's that it's the truth. No, for me, all that matters is that it works for you. Yeah, you think it's the truth, that's great. But for me, all that matters is that it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, then you should discard it. It doesn't work for me. I discarded it. I saw somebody mentioned sodium bicarbonate relieves gas pressure. Nice. Sorry, I'm scrolling through, trying to catch up on things. If there's anything important, someone can post it to me. I'm going to go to the most current. I'll back up. Yes, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, people. Let's see. Coming through. Space is void of matter. Anything else in the room? Centrifugal force. What's going on about centrifugal force? I see someone talking about that. God was a bonobo. Bonobo, I think, is 3 O's. No way. Hey, what's up, Jesse? Anybody who hasn't already, and Jesse, feel free to place a link in the chat to your series of videos on the KML files from my trip. Jesse was kind enough to go through and plot all of the KML files from, I think, all the legs of my trip onto a flat Earth so-called map, just to see what the path would have to be. I can't remember if you, I have to go take a look, if you were able to, if you gave the actual final scale of things in the flat Earth scale, because I know your software doesn't know how to do math wrong, so it always corrects for it. But he mapped it all out. He took the KML files and mapped them all to a flat Earth map, just to see, especially my Sydney to Johannesburg and Johannesburg to Brazil flights, how long a path that would have to have been, and how fast I would have to have been going to make that. So it was great of him to do so. Please take a look at those, and if you haven't already subscribed to him, subscribe to him. He does great work there, great technical work. There are people who are there are talkers, and then there are testers. So like there's talkers and walkers, but he's like, there are talkers in on YouTube, and then there are testers on YouTube. Jesse is not much of a talker. I'm much more of a talker, but he is a tester. He's like, he's a boots on the ground guy, and he has a lot of technical know-how, and is able to just cut right to things. And like I said, he's not much of a talker. He just lets the evidence speak for itself, and he does a great job. So check out his stuff. I'm sure many of you already have. I, on the other hand, am more of a talker, and I would say 70% talk, 70% talk, 30% test, because just that's my skill set. I'm much better at explaining things, and it doesn't take me as long to go out and go after certain things. But I do like to explain things, so I would put myself kind of in the mostly talk, some test, but Jesse is a great boots on the ground guy. Does great work. You should check him out. yeah, you can be a little bit of both. And the reason I bring that up is because one thing I noticed about the documentary Behind the Curve is there were two distinct groups of people. There were the talkers, and then there were the testers, and I that's what I talk about in my review. There are certain people that are mostly just about presenting their thoughts on the matter and making claims, and then there are other people who like to go out and test things. They do it poorly, but that's what they do. And there were some that kind of straddle both worlds. When I first started doing this, I was mostly a talker because I had done all my testing and things years ago, when I was coming up through, college and doing a lot more lab work and a lot more observational stuff. And most of the evidence that was being presented by globe deniers was based on, were being presented by talkers. It wasn't evidence-based. It was just, conjecture. Like, Eric Dubay is just a talker. He doesn't do anything. All he does is make claims. And so I don't have to go out and test something to dispute something that wasn't tested. I can just talk about it. So a lot of the content was based on that. But as time's gone on, and for the better, globe deniers have tried their hand at experimentation. They're not very good at it, but bless them for trying. And that makes for the need for other people people on our side to do the same, because they don't trust NASA or whatever to do theirs. So they want to see a normal person do it, and that's what we do. Got a super chat from Roy Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Sorry. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Let's see who else. Let's see. Open-minded airhead. Do you remember correctly? I don't drink alcohol. That is correct. Mainly because two reasons. One, I don't like the taste of alcohol. I was blessed with revulsion by alcohol. I don't find it worth drinking, which is quite helpful. And then secondly, I am a control freak. I am very much attached to this part of me right here, and I don't like messing with it any more than necessary. So if it's pain medication or anything, I try my best to not mess with the brain too much. And so getting to a position where so since I don't like the taste of alcohol, the only reason to drink alcohol would be to get inebriated or something, and I am averse to giving up the control over this tool of mine. Sean Hawks, I like how Mark Sargent's mother did everything possible to keep them from saying her son was a wingnut. Yeah, she was a sweetheart. She was like, bless him, you know. I just want things to be proven. Yeah, she was good. Yeah. That was funny. No sake either. I've had it, but I don't particularly like it. I love, Japanese food though, so it's I had to try it. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that Baba Globusters thing. It's in the documentary, and yeah, that's and a very wonderful ad hoc explanation that Bob came up with to cover for the fact that his test was defeated by the Globe. Hey, Slick, you bid me good day. Gary Wybenga, there is no difference between gas pressure and atmospheric pressure. The atmosphere is made up of gases. I think maybe you came in a little bit late. The number one definition of atmosphere is the envelope of gas. Yes, but if you look, so Gary, you're absolutely right. The problem is, when globe deniers choose to talk about atmospheric pressure, they don't look at the definition of atmospheric pressure. They go to gas pressure. They say, how can there be a gas pressure next to a vacuum? Well, guess what? In atmospheric pressure, there's no pressure next to a vacuum. There is none. And there's no mention in the definition of atmospheric pressure. There's no mention of a container. Gas pressure talks about a container because it's talking about the measurement of like man-made structures. But they choose to talk about that instead of talking about atmospheric pressure because they choose to use the definition that works for them instead of using the definition that science puts forth. That's the problem. This is what it looks like when the head is cut off on a D Marble destroyed your fake signs long. D Marble couldn't destroy any science ever. He's just not good enough at it. So I don't know what D Marble supposedly destroyed. This is try for 940K. I don't know if that's supposed to be some type of word, but yeah, sorry. He hasn't done it. He's still talking about being on the side of a globe and being sideways because of gravity and not and that's how people are oriented. He still doesn't understand up from down. So the idea of him having destroyed any type of science except for his own paper tiger of science is laughable. Like the guy, wish him well, but he needs to move on to something else because science is not his thing. Let's see. Hold on a second. I gotta check something. I just got a chime. Hopefully it's not work. Probably not. But I have to look. Nope. Excellent. Real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, so okay. Hold on a second. Check on the work. I'm not worried about it. I'm not in a hurry on that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so did get a little call from work. Uh, let's see. What's this about fishing? Who are you, Tusk Music? uh, lastly, open-minded airhead is saying, "Thank you for your explanation of your abstinence from alcohol. It makes sense to me. We all have different tolerances. Yeah, we all have different tolerances, and I happen to. I mean, I already wasn't drinking or doing anything before I came to understand this, but I do not trust my genetics when it comes to alcohol and drugs and things like that. There's too much genetic history of abuse in my lineage that as confident as I am in my ability to keep control of things, I don't know if I have a lot of room to play with when it comes to addictive substances, and it's not something I plan on testing. Yeah, T-Marl doesn't plan anything, doesn't understand anything past 2D. And then here's the thing: it's like people like Daryl aren't stupid. I don't want to say that the person is stupid. They're just miseducated and overly confident in their own knowledge when it's not there. It's the classic Dunning-Kruger thing. But they're quick-witted. A lot of them are quick on the uptake, but they're blinded, and with just having an inability to break out of the structure, because I think it's their knowledge or their perception of knowledge is really entwined with their perception of themselves. Let's see. When you're in a house on fire, because the smoke rises and rises, therefore no container. How does it do that? Let's see. A 1D kind of guy. Is that why it's D, Marble? 1D. Nick B, that's I know me better than anyone. Yeah, that's the thing. I think a key to emotional success and understand is understanding yourself, and I think a key to being able to sympathize and empathize and talk to other people is understanding yourself. I put a lot of work into figuring out what's going on in here and why I think the way I do and what motivates me and things like that. And it comes through physical activity, through martial arts, through meditation, through just honest conversation with people. But knowing yourself is really important. And that means knowing your limitations. People will say, well, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk about that? It's like, well, you know what? Because that's out of my lane. If I start talking about that, it'll be mostly me reading things and then repeating what I've read. And that's not my own knowledge. And I understand that. But people like Daryl, people like Antonio Subaratz and some of the others, what they don't understand, they read things and it fits their worldview, and so they repeat it as if they know it, and all they're doing is repeating things that they don't actually understand. And I try my best not to do that. I talk about things that I understand, or if I don't, I at least mention it. You gotta fight stupid with stupid. You can't science them. I don't know about that. Uh, let's see. And I guess there's still a conversation going on about the space. Yeah, the thing is, space is not a vacuum. We call it the vacuum of space, but it's not actually a true vacuum. I tell people, I mentioned it earlier in this video here. I ask people to make a diagram of the Earth and point to where the vacuum begins. Where is it a vacuum? They say it's a vacuum here. Out here in space by the moon, it's a vacuum. Okay, well, come closer to the Earth. Is it a vacuum here? Yes. Is it a vacuum here? Yes. Is it a vacuum here? Yes. Is it a vacuum here? No. Oh, is it a vacuum here? No. No. Where is it at? There is no spot where the vacuum is. We have an arbitrary claim. We call it that we call space. We say this part here, this line here, we're going to call that space. Mainly because aerodynamic structures don't work anymore. So we just call that space. You just need to be dealing with either projectiles, ballistic objects, or, have some type of rocket thrust. But it's not a vacuum. So you people need to get over that. They need to learn that. But until then, they're going to keep making that same claim, which is a false claim. Certain doom. Anyone read Asimov's Foundation series and think we're in a Selden crisis? Seriously, dude, I'm a major Asimov fan, Foundation fan. I've read all the Foundations, forwards and backwards. It's actually time for me to start going through them again. So yeah, are we in a Selden crisis? That's funny. It seems like we might be. Does that make Trump the mule? That's what I want to know. Is Trump the mule in this case? So you're saying denotes space. Yes, but that's an arbitrary line, Cody, right? You know that the Carden line is, like I said, it's 100 miles or 100 kilometers up. It's an arbitrary line. It's what we call space. It's what we've agreed to call space. It's not actually where the a vacuum. Yeah, the Kármán line, right? So it's not actual space. Yeah. Let's see. Adam L says, "Am I right to say that pointing the moment where a vacuum starts is similar to the pointing the moment when we turn Homo sapiens?" Kind of. The problem with that is that, real quick, thank you, Kenim, Tim. Okay, I don't know what that says, but thank you very much for your super chat. Shortly after the Big Bang, the universe was filled with gas, and then gravity happened, is what Kin says. Thank you for that super chat. So it's similar in the sense that evolution is very much kind of like a gradient. There is small steps. The problem is with evolution, comparing evolution to, say, atmospheric pressure, is that when it comes to evolutionary evidence, things have just been lost. Things just disappear and aren't there for us to see. So we have these leaps and jumps. We have these gaps in the spectrum of evolutionary advancement. There's no such gaps in atmospheric pressure, so we can literally notice every little change in atmospheric pressure up to a point where we get to what we decide to call a vacuum, or what we decide to call space. So yeah, there is a gradient connection there, but it's since they're both labels, it's hard to say. Let's see. What do I think of Trump's Space Force? I don't have a problem with increasing the idea of having more presence in space. I don't like the idea of militarizing it. I think it's a distraction that Trump is bringing up. I think it's part of his narcissism, that he wants to be able to say he made something. He wants to be able to say, he wants history to be able to say Trump's Space Force. Trump created this force. He likes the idea. As a person who wasn't willing to be a military person. He likes the idea of having military credentials. He wants to be able to say he's better than the generals. He wants to be able to say he's a war president. He wants to be able to have that kind of bona fide. So the idea of a space force is about him more than it is about military need or the exploration of space. So if I felt there was a military need for a space force, I'd be more in favor of it. If I thought it was about the exploration of space, I'd be more in favor of it. But I think it's mostly about Trump wanting to be able to say, I made this big thing. Let's see. Is space not a perfect vacuum? It is not a perfect vacuum. I don't know what jump with the green ones. Yes, I've seen the gravitational wave detector, which is basically just like, a super fancy, kind of ring laser type of thing. I don't need to do research to know that pressure of the atmosphere is the same as gas pressure. Stop being silly, man. Except for atmospheric pressure does not require a container. Pressure is pressure. It's true. But atmospheric pressure does not require a container. Which is why globe deniers don't talk about atmospheric pressure as atmospheric pressure. They always talk about it as gas pressure. And they say gas pressure next to a vacuum, which by definition is not what the globe model says. Nowhere do they say that there's gas pressure next to a vacuum. That's something that globe deniers made up. And so it's not actually something that we have to answer because it isn't the definition. It's not the situation. It's a straw man. How can you have gas pressure next to a vacuum? I never claimed we did. Yes, you did. You say that, no, that's not what we say. So when you ask, how can we have gas pressure next to a vacuum? I say, that's a straw man argument. Yeah, let's see. Anything else on this list? Stone Monkey 3D, you get pressure gradient in a container too. And it's true. You do get a pressure gradient in a container. And there's a reason for that. And that's because there's a force acting on the elements in that container to cause that pressure gradient. The globe denying folks don't have a mechanism for that. But mainstream science does. And that's the difference. Let's see. First step to understanding it's true. That there ends up being a lot of discussion of what Sean Hawkins says. The first step to understanding is understanding the question. And that's a problem a lot of times when it comes to debating with globe deniers. Is they're asking questions that aren't legitimate questions, and we're talking about different things. And so until you can define the parameters of the question properly, you can't really have a discussion. Can't we just put Mark Sargent on a rocket, send him to the ISS, and call it a day? That's funny. The problem is, if you put Mark Sargent on a rocket and send him to the ISS, he would claim that you drugged him, put him in a simulator, and that's the entire experience he had, because he is incapable of changing his mind. Someone says, come on, people, hit the like button. Hey, it's been a while. I haven't been here in a while. You haven't seen me. You're happy to see me. Hit the like button. Did I just, turn into William Shatner? James T. Kirk? Sorry. Just caught myself on camera there. Let's see, tell a globe denier to go somewhere obscure and use GPS, and then ask them to explain GPS, which is pretty much what I did during my trip. I had GPS contact in places where you're supposedly not able to have GPS contact. That's the thing. According to them, GPS is ground-based. So you can't get GPS contact over the middle of, say, the Pacific Ocean in the southern hemisphere because it's so wide. You're too far away from land. Yet I had GPS contact the entire time. So they have to come up with a new ad hoc excuse for GPS. Hello, Norway. Yeah, subscribe too. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I'm pretty close to 30,000. I think I'm about 400 away. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for 30,000. I might do just like a marathon, 5, 6, 7, hour live stream just for like a 30,000 celebration or something like that. Give away some shirts, who knows. But so when we get to 30,000, we're going to do something. Yeah, I might just, like I said, just be here all day. We'll see how they go. So bring them in. But subs have died down, which is fine because I haven't been producing anything. I don't expect people to sub to me when I'm not producing anything. It's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for the subs. I'm here for the information. Let's see. Cody, I am not familiar with the DARPA Super Swarms and the F-35 downstream control up to. I'm not familiar with that. Send me something separately. Greater Sapien, Gmail. Send me something separately. I'll take a look at it. What's up, North Carolina? M. Goldsmiths. Sean Hawkins, almost 500 subs. Get them subs, man. Check out my moderators. If they don't check out their subs, go check them out. Sub them. They've been really helpful to me. And I appreciate them. Give them some subs. How I make my models for my job. I'm not sure what that question means. Do you know what I do for a living? I don't make models. Tusk Music, clarify that question. I'm curious. Let's see. Some monkeys, I got 10 subs. All right, man, get them subs. Not just have those 10. I know 10. You got your cousin, you got your uncle. Trying to get your girlfriend. She won't sub for some reason. But tell them to sub, and tell other people about it. Captain Marvel has a direct energy laser. We are safe. Yeah, man. Can't wait. Got the Captain Marvel movie coming out. I'm really bummed. I just found out that I'm scheduled to do a trip to Dallas. I'm not bummed about doing a trip to Dallas, but I'm bummed that I'm scheduled to do oh, okay. I see your thing there. A trip to Dallas during the release of Avengers Endgame. It's like, it sucks. I have a court case, so who knows what my hours are going to be during that time. I'm going to have to tell these folks, look, you have to understand, I am a nerd, and I need to see this movie. I'm gonna go. Your Honor, I gotta go. And it'll be the first one of these like big premieres that I haven't seen with my son. We go to these things all the time. We go to the the night before. We do the big thing, and it'll be the first time we haven't done it together. So that's gonna suck because it's kind of a fun bonding thing. But I will be in town for Captain Marvel, so we'll do that together. But it sucks that I'm going to be in Dallas for that, as opposed to home with family. So I work in courts. I don't strictly model. I model. I don't model. I do evidence presentation. So sometimes it'll be. We don't do a whole lot of crime scenes. We've done a couple, mostly pro bono work, because at least the cases I've worked on have been mostly pro bono work. We had a case of a prisoner in Santa Rita who was forced to fight. Was set up for a fight by some guards, and he was suing for just medical care, and so we had to kind of map that out. But that was literally a pro bono case, so there was not a lot of graphics, but it was just helping that person out. Mostly, we end up doing patent cases. That's the most we do. Because it's the Bay Area. We've got Apple, we've got Google, we've got Facebook, we've got a lot of startups. There's a lot of patent infringement cases that go on. We also have Genentech and other large medical places around here. So we have a lot of clients that are dealing with that. The case that I'm doing in Dallas, I'm not exactly sure what it is yet. But since it's in Dallas, it's probably... It might be oil. It might be oil based, but that's usually in the smaller counties off to the side. I'll have to check that. I'm not exactly sure what the case is about because we haven't had an opening meeting about it. But we use use all types of software. And me, I like to hand draw things. That's my thing. So that's not something I'll do for a 30,000 sub thing, just because it's boring. But I'll come up with something. Let's see. Yes, on Critical Things video on board, you saw me walking in a plane at 124. Yeah. And I think on the small snippet of video that I put of mine, I think he was walking in the background as well. Yes, I might want to know before show. Yeah, we have a case opening, Bob. We have a case opening meeting. The court date isn't until April 22nd. So the thing is about a lot of these Texas cases is that they are fast. It's like the clients hold on to a lot of stuff, and then we find out what it's about, but we don't do much work until maybe a week or two beforehand, and then they go like, bam, here's everything, and it's just a roller coaster for a couple weeks, and then it's done. Bob the Science Guy is in the room, folks. If you have not subbed to Bob the Science Guy, check out Bob's work. Bob, feel free to actually I'll give you a wrench. There you go, Bob. Give Bob a wrench. Feel free to drop a link to your channel or your latest video in the chat. Bob does good work, and he's been just generating like a madman lately. He's just putting out stuff on a constant basis, and solid stuff. So check him out, give him a sub, and support real science and real science proponents. Hey, what's up, Nathan? Nathan's in the room. How's your knee, man? How's your knee doing, Nathan? Mine is garbage. My knee is messed up. Client used yours instead of your death by execution. Texas, that's funny. So Nathan, chime in. Tell me how's your recovery going? I, on the other hand, oh yeah, Sean, link to your telescope fund, and yeah, thanks, because I meant to put something on that, so link to that, and I'll throw something on there. Yeah, Nathan, the other day, I had this, my knee was swollen, had this kind of like egg on the top of my knee. And we were I was in kung fu, and we're doing different leg sweeps, and and so I got I'm standing. I was in a position for someone to sweep me, and so he swept, which was fine. I was going down, and I wanted to lessen the impact of it, and so I went down. It wasn't a great sweep, so I wasn't going to go all the way down, and so I went down on my left knee and like popped the burst, the bursa there, the like the edema sac, and just you could just hear it. It was like a small balloon, just, and man, that sucker hurt. So now my knee just feels like it just got hit with a hammer, and yeah, it sucks. So I hope your recovery is going well. Brace comes off next week. Cool, cool, cool. Good to hear. For analog astronomical. Okay, cool. You were introduced. Aniceto was introduced to me because of YouTube algorithm. I've been watching YouTube rant videos. That's funny. got the rant algorithm. Yeah, The only reason I have the subs that I have is because for some reason the algorithm decided it liked me for a couple days, and then I went for a little bit, and then things leveled off. It's weird how that happens. Did I have a good time during my trip? Did I learn anything I didn't previously know? Yes, I did. And I don't know if I'll put this as part of my my video, because it's not really part of the exploration I did. But I thought what I found the oddest thing that I learned was something biological about myself. I've traveled before, but I've never traveled in the southern hemisphere. And so what I was not prepared for was how wholly disorienting it was to have the sun in a different position the way it was. I generally have a very good sense of direction, especially here in the Bay Area. You can ask me to go to pretty much anywhere, even if I haven't been there before, and just say, hey, here's a map. It just in terms of orientation, which way's north, which way's south, I've always been able to do that. But I found myself turned around so many times when I was in Perth. I pull up a map and I go, okay, cool, need to go that way, and I just start walking. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, why are these streets not the right name? I was on a bike. I'm like, why are these streets not the right name? Oh, look at it again. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. It's that way, complete opposite direction, or that angle there. Because biologically, I'm just so used to getting readings from my environment, and I did not know how much I relied on that type of thing for orienteering. And so I was completely taken aback. It kept happening over and over again. It's like, let's move. In my head, I'm like, okay, I got to get going. I start walking. I'm like, 5 minutes later, went the wrong direction again. It just kept happening. And the sun was just not in the position it was supposed to be. It was amazing. Everything was slightly different. So that was something I learned about myself. So how's the documentary coming along? It's coming along slowly. I told people earlier that there are some additional local readings that I want to get, mainly because not all the conditions were great where I was in Australia or in Johannesburg. The conditions weren't necessarily great for certain observations, so I'm looking for analogs kind of here in the Bay Area that will make up for it, because I want to test, I want to check and see if these things work or they're correct, or what information I can get from them. Because the things they did kind of started to lay out a narrative, but it's an incomplete narrative. And so there are certain readings I think I need to get in order to get that narrative to go where it needs to go. I had a general idea of what I wanted to do with this, but I didn't want to say, I'm going to tell a story that says this, that, and this. Because I think I would artificially put too much of my own opinion in there. I mean, I'm going to anyway. I can't. I'm human. I'm going to put my opinion in there. But I didn't want to prejudge. I didn't want to, to prejudice everything I saw by having an idea of what the story is. So I'm only going to film this, and I'm only going to film that because I know exactly what the story is I want to tell. So I tried to just record a whole bunch of stuff that was happening, observations here and there. Some stuff that doesn't matter to me at all. I gave that, some of the footage is in Critical Think's hands, and he has certain things he wants to do with it, and I was there just to help because it wasn't really part of my narrative of my thing. But when I'm looking through all the footage I've gotten, I'm starting to see that it is telling me a certain thing. It is. There's a thread throughout that that is congealing into its own tale. And so I want to take that and tell that story as opposed to telling my own. And but from what I can see, I need to round it off. I need to make observations here locally and maybe a couple others in a couple other locations, because, like I said, there's like a through line. There's like a pointer that all the footage I've taken is going out, but there's elements missing on the other end. It's incomplete, and so I need to try to make some other observations that will either confirm or deny. But whether it confirms or debunks what was done before, it will complete it. So that's where I'm at. I'm not even into the editing of the actual thing yet. I'm just figuring out the narrative and writing out a little bit of script here and there from what's coming from, and looking for more stuff. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Somebody not playing nice in there? Let's see. And so some people who are just now getting in the room, one thing I am working on later today, and let's see, I'm noticing other emails popping up. So I think I need to end this in 15 minutes. So I'll make this an hour and a half, because there's, like I said, there's some work coming in there. So we're going to end this in 15 minutes. Let's see. I am today, hopefully, if work slows down, I have a video I'm going to be recording today of my review of Behind the Curve, the documentary on the Flat Earth movement. I recommend it to people. I have not watched Simon Dan's or Godless Engineers videos, but they do have them, so you should go take a look at them if you haven't already. I haven't watched them because I didn't want to watch them knowing that I was going to be making my own. Once I've finished making my own, I'll check it out and see. Hopefully, we'll have done very different types of content, because I hate redundant content. But check out their videos. Simon Dan has one that came out on Friday, and Godless Engineers, I think, came out a while back. I think he got an advance copy, or he purchased it before Netflix, while I waited for it to come out on Netflix. So take a look. Carol Genie C, appreciate you and all of your wealth of knowledge. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Whether or not I have a wealth of knowledge, there's a lot that I don't know. I think that's what's kind of awesome about being interested in science. There's a lot that there's always more to learn. But what I do know, I try my best to help people understand as clearly as possible. So thank you very much for your kind words. I think I might have missed another super chat. Let's see. Static MMM, thank you very much for your super chat. You don't have a comment to go with it, but thank you very much. It is greatly appreciated. Why the water goes the direction it does is more related to tidal currents and the way in which fluid dynamics have shaped the Earth. That's very true. The problem with globe deniers is that they want everything to be perfect. There's like a really bad form of laboratory science that they think the universe adheres to. I don't know how many people here have done lab work, have taken physics courses, mostly physics, not lab work like chemistry. That's a different thing, but that's more related to reality. But have ever done any like lab physics courses where you've tested the acceleration of gravity, parabolic motion, things like that? So Bob says, hey Bob, do you have a video? If you do, put a link to it. I haven't seen. I think Bob, the science guy, has a video that's reviewing Behind the Curve as well. So take a look at it. Like I said, I'm not watching other people's reviews. Just I didn't want to watch it before seeing the actual documentary, and I didn't want to watch it before writing up my own thoughts. So it would be more genuine. But anyone who's done lab work in say a physics course, and done paper work in a physics course as opposed to lab work, knows there's a difference between how labs work and how reality works versus how things work on paper. When you're given a question on a test, say something very simple about how far, if you say you have a hockey puck and you push it with a certain amount of force. It has a certain mass. You push it on a certain amount of force. It's on a flat plane or it's on an angled plane. You do a calculation to find out how far it will travel, right? You will inevitably see things that say, assuming a vacuum, assuming a coefficient of friction of blah 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 blah. How far will this, right? Always happens. Because it's not, reality is different from that. When you actually get a hockey puck of a certain mass that you weigh, and you have a device that will exert a certain amount of impact force to that hockey puck, and you put it on ice, it's not going to have a set, perfect, consistent coefficient of friction. It is not in a vacuum. There will be different types of forces that act on it than what happened when you just think about it. When you just think about it, you can say, assume it's in a vacuum space, assume there's no friction whatsoever. And then you can just say, okay, I'm just clicking on this hockey puck and where it's going to go. And globe deniers, they don't understand that the real world is lab work, and they're trying to apply like paper testing standards to lab work. So they say, well, if you leave the surface of the Earth, you should just continue flying off because you're not connected to the Earth anymore. Or they talk about how a curve should be, it should fall off at a certain degree. They have this idea of perfection, that everything is a certain way. They, without knowing they're doing it, they are assuming a certain level of a vacuum. They are assuming certain levels of momentum and force. They're making pure assumptions and assuming that the reality has to hold to that, because they don't understand there's a difference between the paper and the reality. And when the reality doesn't fit the paper, they assume that the reality is wrong. that the theory about reality is wrong. They say, well, it should do this according to the globe. It's like, no, according to the globe, there are a whole bunch of different things involved. So the reason I bring this up is because someone mentioned the way the water moves on the Earth has a lot to do with fluid dynamics and tidal forces. It's not just the shape of water. It's not just, oh, it's a globe, so it has a certain curve to it. But according to globe deniers, water should act a certain way because it's water, and it should look like this. And if it doesn't, that means the globe is wrong, because they don't understand how things work in the real world, and they don't have the ability to be flexible enough to understand the nuances of reality. End of rant. Let's see. What else is going on here before I sum this up? A few more minutes. Wait. Is there a review, a Nathan Oakley review? Hold on a second. What is this here? Oh, that's your Nathan Oakley review. I thought you were saying like Nathan Oakley did a review of the movie or something like that. Okay. Yeah, I've seen this Nathan Oakley one of Bob's. Check it out, though. Physicists, don't forget, experimental physicists also encountered failures we overcome. Globe deniers don't even fail, which is the greatest insult to experimental physics. Well, yeah, globe deniers don't accept any failure. The difference between actual scientists, like experimental physicists, is that failure, they understand that failure still gives them information. How something failed tells them about is data that they can use to improve their theory, improve the next experiment. And so they accept failure. They accept failure as another data point. Globe deniers don't accept failure. They just assume that the failure doesn't count. So if they come up, and it happens in this documentary, if they come up with a claim, a globe denier will say, the Earth is flat. This is how it works. This experiment will show that the Earth is flat. If X happens, the Earth is flat. If Y happens, it's not. That means there's a curvature. X flat, Y curvature. That's the standard we're going to put out, and that's what we're going to look for in this experiment. Then they do the experiment, and Y shows up, and they go, well, obviously that can't be correct. What? And so they say we have to figure out what's going on with Y, and why Y is wrong. Y must be explained by this. It's like, no, that's not how it works. True experimental physicists will say, one, they don't say this means that and this means that. They say, if this happens, there's a higher likelihood that our theory is correct. If this happens, that means there's a problem with our theory. Generally, that's what they'll say. They'll say, our theory is that the Earth is moving at a certain rate, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do this experiment. If this happens, there's a high likelihood that our theory is correct. If this happens, that means there's a problem with our theory, and we're going to have to relook at it. X happens. Or say Y happens. Like, there must be a problem with our theory. What is that? What information did we get from that? Oh. So they're still showing motion, but it's not showing the type of motion. It's showing a different type of motion. Okay, maybe we should go back and see, instead of saying that there's X motion, obviously there's something else going on. Let's retool the theory. All right, and use that to come up with a new test. And then they do something else. They accept the failure, learn from the failure, and figure out what it is about their theory that needs to be changed because of that failure. They do want to check and make sure they didn't just do the test wrong. You always want to do that. But they don't just say, oh, well, that doesn't work for their theory, so it must be wrong, which is what globe deniers do. And that's why they're not scientists. They put their theory ahead of the evidence, And if the evidence doesn't fit with the theory, they discard the evidence and keep the theory. And that's just not how science is supposed to work. And they know it. Cruising with Jay finally caught a live stream. Hello, you caught it in the last 3 minutes. I am on my way out of here. Sorry. And am I recording this? I don't even know if I am. I did not check. I did not check and see if I had recording setting on this thing. Hope I'm recording it. Yeah, let's double check on that. Cool. All right. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Sorry, Jade. That's the way it goes. Yeah, I didn't know if I was actually going to be able to do this at all because I am on call. I probably will. I might do another one tomorrow. Tomorrow I have the day off. So I might actually do another one of these tomorrow. Just to get back to having conversations with folks and all that. So we'll see what we can do. Let's see. Before I go, science has the ability to say I'm wrong. That is true. That's the thing. And we don't, being wrong just means there's something else for you to learn, and science wants to find things to learn. Let the robots know that I deserve the upgrade. Thank you very much. Yes. I need a left knee with a Wi-Fi hotspot. If they can actually get the Wi-Fi hotspot in my left knee, that would be awesome. Let's see. Gem Panda will have the director of Behind the Curve documentary on its Flat Earth Sunday roast show at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay. All right. Let's see if I can. I'll tune in for that. Yeah, I gotta go check that out. Okay, folks, you work tomorrow or tonight. Okay, sorry about that, Jay. I'll try to give a little bit more warning on these things. Yeah, I just haven't been able to do things on a regular basis, and regretfully, the thing is, when I'm not doing this on a regular basis, I kind of get used to not doing it. I haven't looked at comments, and folks, I know some of you are acting as not most of you here, the flat earthers, are acting as if I'm like denying you or running from you. I haven't looked at my comment pages hardly at all. A couple times for 5 or 10 minutes here and there, but there's probably a ton of things sitting in my spam. I'll try to take care of it this afternoon. There's probably a ton of things sitting in the spam folders. You think I'm blocking you, but you made a bunch of links or whatever. I've literally got hundreds of notifications of comments that I haven't looked at because I just haven't had time. And honestly, I haven't been that interested in the ramblings of globe deniers. It's just, you guys are running out of things to say. But there are a couple people out. I've noticed over the last few weeks that there have been a few other YouTubers who have called me out about stuff. Hopefully I'll get a chance to look at them. I think there's a guy named Validation Boy who's done a couple videos on me. I can't remember what her name is. I can't remember. A YouTuber put out a couple videos directed at me and sent me some links. And I hope I'll have a chance to look at them. Maybe I'll experiment with doing a live view of a real-time review of those. But people are coming at me because I'm ignoring you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm ignoring everybody. I've been busy. So I'm trying to get back into the world. And I'll try not to be away for as long anymore. But life is what it is. I have interests and things that will take me on to other things. So bear with me, and I'll share what I have when I can. And I hope you'll be there when I do. Validate me, boy. That's hilarious. Luther Vandross, too. What's this about Luther Vandross? That's some random stuff. I go on a little rant and I come back. and I see some just random saying, and I'm like, what's this about Luther Vandross? Larry W, thank you for the super chat. A relaxing Sunday morning. Good. I'm glad it was relaxing for you. Static MM, is that a second super chat from me? Thank you very much. Cody was going to give me serum B and C. All right. Thank you very much. Let's see. That's funny. Okay. I see one more question for me coming up. Did I see Wolfie in here? Someone's saying Wolfie 6020 going to Disneyland. What's this about Disneyland? Do I like fishing? I haven't been fishing in a long time. I used to fish a lot, especially when I was younger and I was living in Iowa. I used to go fishing on a regular basis. So I do enjoy fishing, but it has literally been 20 years more than that, since I've been fishing. I was living up on the Russian River for a while and did some fishing when I was up there. But it has been, I don't have equipment or anything like that anymore. But yeah, back when I was a kid and I was living in Des Moines, you could just go down to the river and just drop a line over a bridge or sit on the edge or raft out and do fishing. I used to do that on a regular basis, but I haven't done it in a long time. But yes, I do enjoy it. But man, it's been a long time. The spice must flow. I see. I look down and I see this random stuff. Yeah, so I'll be back probably tomorrow. Look for, if I'm not live tomorrow, look for a new video tomorrow. See, everything happens right before I leave. Someone says, "Can you answer this question? Can you answer this question?" Nizark Shakula, ask the question right now, and I'll try to do it right before I leave. But then I got to get to work. Got to pay these bills. Shield checks, they're not as free flowing as they used to be. Ask the question. Ask the question. Nisark, Skula, Shukla. How do I counter flat Earth arguments saying astronauts use harnesses in eclipse? The problem is they don't see any harnesses. They just claim that there are harnesses. The problem is they need to point out the actual harness. Every video I've seen with a supposed harness has motion that could not be done on a harness, not live, and is there have been clips that are more than 40 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes of 0G, which is more than you could do in, say, a vomit comet, whatever those things is, those little 0G planes. Okay, I'm not seeing your question that you're going to ask, so I'm going to sign off of this, folks. Luciferian payroll to get you sorted. Thank you very much, because I got to get that check. So let me go to my. I'm online at the moment, about to get off. Give you 1 second. All right, so family is talking to me here. So thanks, everybody. I will talk to you soon. Probably be live tomorrow. Look for a new video tomorrow. As always, try to learn something about the world that you didn't know yesterday. If you can, help someone else do the same, and have a good time while doing it. Take care.